7 families of victims killed or injured in a mass shooting in Canada have filed lawsuits against OpenAI and its CEO, Sam Altman, in a California court, accusing him and the company of ignoring the shooter's troubling interactions with ChatGPT. 8 people were killed, including 6 children, when 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar opened fire at a secondary school in the Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, in February. Oil prices have soared following reports that the US is preparing for an extended blockade of Iran. Brent crude rose to over $117.86.71 a barrel on Wednesday afternoon, the highest price so far this month, from just over $110 a barrel on Tuesday evening. Washington, D.C., the United States Supreme Court has begun to hear a case on whether the administration of President Donald Trump may strip the temporary legal status of hundreds of thousands of Haitians and Syrians living in the country. The hearing on Wednesday at the country's highest court specifically concerns whether Trump may end temporary protected status, TPS, for citizens of the 2 countries, which is granted when it is deemed unsafe for individuals to return to their home countries.
Iran's national currency has plunged to new lows as authorities mobilize to dampen the impact of the naval blockade enforced by the United States. The Iranian rial shot above 81 million to the US dollar on the open market by early afternoon on Wednesday before partially recovering. The embattled currency changed hands for about 1.54 million earlier this week, and its rate was about 811,000 per US dollar a year ago.
And more than 1.2 million people in Lebanon are expected to face acute hunger this year due to conflict, displacement and economic pressures amid the latest war between Israel and Hezbollah, according to a United Nations-backed report. And the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Food Programme, WFP, and Lebanon's Ministry of Agriculture issued a joint statement on Wednesday saying that 1.24 million people were expected to face food insecurity at crisis levels or worse between April and August.
Kevin Warsh has passed a major hurdle to become the next chair of the United States Federal Reserve. Warsh, US President Donald Trump's handpicked choice to succeed current Chairman Jerome Powell, whose term is set to end on May 15, was approved by the Senate Banking Committee on Wednesday.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on federal charges after posting an image of seashells arranged to spell @I647 on Instagram. In a case that has raised concerns about the use of the United States justice system as a form of political retaliation, the charges were announced on Tuesday, with prosecutors accusing Comey of threatening US President Donald Trump and transmitting a threat in interstate commerce. Uber customers in the United States can now book hotels directly through the app, one of several new features announced Wednesday that pushes far beyond the company's original ride-hailing purpose and even deeper into its users' lives. Uber announced the new hotel booking feature on Wednesday during its product-heavy annual Go-Get event in New York City. At launch, Uber customers will have access to more than 700 views and hotels worldwide through a partnership with Expedia Group, the travel company that Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi led for 12 years.
And Roku's latest streaming bet is off to a solid start. Its affordable subscription service, Howdy, has now passed 1 million subscribers, according to data from research firm Antenna. And this is a notable milestone for a platform that's still pretty new, and suggests that it's striking a chord with viewers who are tired of paying for yet another expensive subscription. Launched in August 2025, and Howdy is Roku's first real push into paid, ad-free streaming. At just $2.99 a month, Howdy is aimed at people who want something extra to watch for a lower cost.
Islamabad. The Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, PMDC, on Wednesday directed all medical and dental institutions to implement structured mental health screening protocols in response to growing concerns over the increasing incidence of suicide and severe psychological distress among students. In a statement, the Council issued directives to all medical and dental institutions, emphasizing the critical importance of promoting and safeguarding the mental health of students and faculty.
And Russia's Victory Day parade in Moscow on the 9th of May will be scaled back this year because of a terrorist threat from Ukraine, the Kremlin has said. All measures are being taken to minimize the danger, said President Vladimir Putin's spokesman Dmitry Peskov.
The US Supreme Court limited the ability of lawmakers to take the racial makeup of a state into account when drawing voting maps, in a ruling that could reshape politics across the American South. In a 6-3 decision, the conservative justices sided with a challenge to new districts in Louisiana that were created to comply with a landmark civil rights law meant to protect Black Americans from racial discrimination.
And the jokes landed, the warm words resonated, the pageantry looked good on the evening news. But as the applause fades and the plates are cleared from the White House banquet, what from the King's historic visit to the United States will sustain? How much of the pomp will translate into politics?
Britain's Prince and Princess of Wales have shared a photograph of themselves with their 3 children to celebrate their 15th wedding anniversary. William and Catherine can be seen lying on some grass alongside Prince George, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis in what appears to be a summery scene, with the whole family wearing shorts.
And an inside look at Chernobyl 40 years after the disaster. The exclusion zone remains radioactive, now shaped by war. From deserted cities to returning wildlife and rising military risk, what's unfolding there today raises urgent questions about nuclear danger and what the future might hold in this episode.
British police have arrested a man after 2 Jewish people were stabbed in northern London, according to Jewish groups, after a series of arson attacks targeting Jewish sites in the area. The 45-year-old man was arrested after he was seen running with a knife, attempting to stab Jewish members of the public. The Shomrim Jewish Neighbourhood Watch said on Wednesday on social media. Note, Al Jazeera is withholding some details of interviewees, such as surnames, to protect their identities. Douankara, Mauritania. One evening in late March, 75-year-old Mokhtar gathered with his family and friends in Sondage, a village in northern Mali, to plan their escape. For months, homes had been raided by rival gun-toting warring groups who accused various villagers of collaborating with their enemies. 2 of Mokhtar's cousins were killed in one such attack. Then one group issued an ultimatum.
Logitech's gaming division, Logitech G, has announced the Logitech G512X TMR analog mechanical gaming keyboard, a new keyboard focused on modular design and deep customization for players. Similar to controllers, this keyboard is able to respond to how hard you press each key, enabling a whole new dimension of input for keyboards. This should not only help with racing games, but also with tactical shooters.
Pakistan and Tajikistan have agreed to advance bilateral trade and explore new transit corridor mechanisms as both countries move to strengthen regional connectivity and economic cooperation. The development came during a meeting between Commerce Minister Jam Kamal Khan and Tajikistan's Ambassador Sharifzoda Yusuf Toya in Islamabad, where both sides discussed expanding trade, improving transit routes and enhancing institutional collaboration.
Islamabad. The Ministry of Law and Justice Trans on Wednesday notified the transfer of 3 judges of the Islamabad High Court, IHC, to other high courts under Article 200 of the Constitution. The development comes a day after the Judicial Commission of Pakistan, JCP, approved the transfer of 3 judges from the IHC to other courts in a move that sharp criticism from lawyers' bodies for lacking transparency and uniform criteria.
And Britain's royal family marked what would have been the late Queen Elizabeth II's 100th birthday by unveiling comprehensive plans for a new charity and memorial in central London. Senior members of the family also attended several events on Tuesday to honour Britain's longest-serving monarch, who died nearly 4 years ago at the age of 96.
Boxers from Russia and Belarus will be free to compete with immediate effect in international competitions as neutral athletes, World Boxing says. The procedure was approved by the Executive Board of World Boxing at its most recent meeting in April 2026 and reflects the approach taken by the International Olympic Committee, IOC, said World Boxing in a statement on Tuesday.
In a Pacific conflict, the nearest US drone factory is thousands of miles away. Ships and planes carrying parts to the front lines would be vulnerable to attack. Defense startup Firestorm Labs thinks the answer is a drone factory that fits inside a shipping container. The company announced on Wednesday that it has raised $82 million in Series B funding led by Washington Harbor Partners with participation from NEA, Ondas, InQtel, Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen Ventures, Geodesic, Motley Fool Ventures and others, bringing its total funding to $153 million.
And Sri Lanka said on Tuesday that a payment of about $625,000, about 199.7 million Sri rupees, to the US Postal Service has been missing for several weeks after US officials reported that the payment had failed to arrive, reports local media. Authorities detected the incident after hackers allegedly tried to divert another payment intended for India.
A model is only as good as its data, and for Roman Teslyuk, the data wasn't coming fast enough. I hate delays. Teslyuk, founder and CEO of Earth AI, told TechCrunch. Epic Games has scored another procedural win in its fight with Apple over App Store fees, as the US Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit has now granted the Fortnite maker's latest motion. The decision means Apple must continue to allow developers to use external payments in apps without charging fees. An earlier order had let Apple temporarily pause the required App Store changes while it sought Supreme Court review. Epic Games derided Apple's move as another delay tactic and asked the court to reconsider the decision.
And Interpol has issued red notices against Malik Riaz and his son Ali Riaz as Pakistan intensifies efforts to bring the property tycoon back to face ongoing legal proceedings. The development was shared by National Accountability Bureau Chairman Nazir Ahmed during a briefing where he said a team is being dispatched to pursue the extradition of both individuals. However, the issuance of the red notices could not be independently verified through Interpol.
The Competition Commission of Pakistan, CCP, has approved the acquisition of Pakistan International Airlines Corporation Limited, PIA, by M Session PIA Equity Limited, after completing a detailed Phase-I competition review under Section 11 of the Competition Act 2010. The transaction is part of the Government of Pakistan's privatization program. M Session PIA Equity Limited is a special purpose vehicle, SPV, incorporated on January 9, 2026 by a consortium.
Hyderabad Kingsman star batter Usman Khan has opened up about the challenges he faced after being dropped from the national team, reflecting on criticism, self-doubt and the work he put in to make a return. Speaking during a recent interview on a local YouTube platform, the wicket-keeper batter discussed a difficult phase in his career when his place in the side was questioned and doubts were raised about his future.
Samsung has launched the Samsung Galaxy A37 and Samsung Galaxy A57 in Pakistan on April 28. The two mid-range phones bring upgrades in design, performance, cameras, and software support while continuing Samsung's popular Galaxy A series lineup. Both phones feature a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with Full HD Plus resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate for smoother scrolling and gaming.